At 1:01 p.m., I'm Charles Prodigy Richey with your ChicagolandSportsRadio.com update, brought to you by the Illinois Media School. For more information on the career in broadcasting, go to BeyondAir.com. Well, we begin in baseball. Chicago Cubs, who picked up their first win since coming off the All-Star break, they defeated the Pirates yesterday by a run. And for today's matchup that will be happening between the Chicago Cubs and Pittsburgh Pirates, it'll be John Lester going up against Jordan Lyles. Opening pitch is set to be squared away in less than 20 minutes. As we take a look at other baseball scores around the league, later on, speaking of which, on the south side, Chicago White Sox, which begin in about 2 hours at 3:07 p.m., they'll be on the road in Oakland as they'll be taking on the Oakland A's. As be Dylan Covey going up against Chris Bassett. And right now it's scoreless between the Yankees and Blue Jays in Yankee Stadium. You got Tampa Bay Rays with 1-0 lead over the Orioles. Also, too, speaking of which, as we swing things over to the NFL, as reported by on CBS.com by the Wall Street Journal, Andrew Beaton, the idea by the owners proposed an 18-game schedule where stars will have to play 16 games mandatory and 2 games where they'll have to sit. Seems like it's to be rejected right now by Executive Director Demarius Smith. This update has also been brought to you by the Chicago Dogs Baseball. And their next broadcast for the Chicago Dogs, which will be coming up as we take a look at everything. Their next game coming up in July will be when they take on San Francisco tomorrow. For tickets, visit thechicagodogs.com. I'm Charles Prodigy Richey. You're listening to Chicagoland Sports Radio. It's not just sports, it's a way of life. And now time for On Deck, only on CSR. And welcome back here to another special Saturday edition of On Deck with me, Charles Prodigy Richey, as we take a look at things going on right now at the moment, as we're coming to you live on this special Saturday, as right now we got the famous Taste of Chicago going on right now, as a lot of crowds being attracted right about this time, usually shortly after the 4th. A lot of good peeps out there so far, and a lot of good vibes as we are filling in for you. We got a lot to get into on this episode with a lot of things, beginning with the NBA fast break as the offseason continues to pick up more momentum with free agents going left and right. Most recent being with Houston in the trade with the Oklahoma City Thunder, which everyone found out, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, as reported, that the Rockets will send guard Chris Paul, CP3, to the Thunder for 2 protected first-round picks, 2024 and 2026, both protected numbers 1 for 4, and 2 pick swaps, 2021 and 2025, to the Thunder, league sources told Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN. And coming up right now, CP3, more than likely, it seems like the Thunder are going to try and work out a trade, maybe try and ship him away. Find out what should be the best fit. Is it still possible he could probably consider the Lakers once again after being turned down at this point in time 8 years ago when the shortened season started around Christmas time. Is that a possibility? Can he cope with joining LeBron James and Anthony Davis with the purple and gold? And what does this mean for the future of the Thunder? Coming out of break number 1, we'll get some MLB Upper Deck. Chicago Cubs starting off good so far, winning a game, but the only problem is still got a 1.5 lead on the division. Pirates right now at the moment, they trailed 3.5 games. They'll be playing in about 13 minutes in Wrigley Field. So we got you covered on that. What should they do with Yu Darvish? And of course, to wrap things up, NFL Extra Points. We are going to be going to this discussion right now. Good or bad, if an 18-game season is workable. Executive Director Domori Smith seems to be shutting it down right now. If you guys wish to call in and leave us your thoughts, number to be reached is 312-209-2232. Again, that number is 312-209-2232. You can also hit me up on Twitter at Prodigy Richey. And then you could also check out me streaming live right now for today on YouTube. That's Charles J. Richey. They can also catch me throughout the week as I do my Mess Steel podcast Mess Steel podcast, which is on Mondays and Wednesdays. And of course, like I said, let's hit it up right now. As right now, the NBA just seems to be doing a little bit more stuff right now as we look at things. And yes, 2 days ago, as a matter of fact, by Thursday evening, it was reported to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. I'm sure a lot of people have heard, in case you haven't, or been sleeping under a rock. Russell Westbrook is now reunited with James Harden after 7 years in the making. When they were last together, I believe, on the court. When you look at them, when they were together, I think that was since the 2012 NBA Finals, and where the Thunder, they runner-up to LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh of the Miami Heat that year. And one of the things, too, that Stephen A. Smith was pointing out, too, that they were hesitant on paying him an extra $4 million in his contract. Eventually went to the Houston Rockets. And, of course, everyone knows the story right there at that point in time. They've been to the Western Conference Finals, I want to say, at least one time so far in that span. And really haven't had much going since then. And I think this has been a very surprising move. I think when you consider, like, the reported tension between Harden and CP3 in the locker room, both guys denying that there was any altercations when they were on the verge of getting bounced by the Warriors, when they had their opportunity to capitalize on Kevin Durant's injury and the banged-up Warriors squad at that point in time, and just seemed to go off the tracks. Eventually, their season got ended once again by the Golden State Warriors at that point in time, and just could not do anything with it. And you just got to think frustration has been sinking in with this Rockets team. As a matter of fact, when you really look at it, I mean, the Houston Rockets, who have been, at this point in time, almost kind of like somewhat of a choking team lately, when you really think about things overall. I mean, it's one thing where you've got a guy like CP3 who's actually come over to the Rockets at the beginning of the 2017-2018 season. But also it's another, I mean, when you got a guy like James Harden who has his team built around him, and you're having your season, as a matter of fact, when you look at it overall, for four times, when you really think about things, 4 times within the last 5 years, Golden State Warriors have been puncturing a hole in their balloon. And I really start to think right now, Russell Westbrook, I mean, he seems very excited, wanting to reunite with James Harden, what he could contribute. But I will say this, I'm a little adamant on the chemistry, how they're going to pair together. Don't get me wrong, those two guys can ball together and dominate on the court. The only problem is how's the chemistry, the emotional breakdown's going to be when you got a guy like Mike D'Antoni right there. What's he going to do when things continue to get off track once again? You got to be a little bit cognizant of that, and you got to be a little bit leery. I think it's a very good move right now. They say that for the moment, when you look at things, one of the biggest reasons why they made this move is that they feel that, I mean, when you look at Chris Paul, he's going to be turning 35 next May, and versus a guy like Russell Westbrook at the same time too, he's going to be turning 31 this November. So they felt like the 4-year age difference was the biggest factor that was be extending their window in hopes of a championship. And that, I think, is just a little bit brought into question, if you ask me. I mean, like I said, I mean, it's youth, but I mean, at the same time, too, James Harden is also getting up there when you really think about things. I mean, James Harden, too, I mean, you got to believe the clock is, like, starting to tick on him now so more than ever right now, as he is going to be turning 30 next month, as a matter of fact. And I really don't know what to say at this point in time, I mean, other than that they got to make this work. They got to take this. They got momentum to seize right now as this point in time, knowing the fact that you're going to be having a banged up Golden State Warriors team who's probably still find a way of making the playoffs. But can they capitalize on them with possibly not more than likely being in the NBA Finals? I think that's the thing you have to look at. Can they be taken that seriously at this point in time? I just feel right now from and at this point, but yeah, we'll find out things at this point. But yeah, it's definitely gonna be a little bit like pulling teeth right now, and see if they could get some more help along those ways. But they definitely got to get some things together. I mean, at that point in time, when you really look at it, but when you really think about things, has this team become much better? I mean, Chris Paul at the same time too, who signed a 4-year, $159 million, nearly $160 million with the Houston Rockets. I mean, last year, including over $159 million guaranteed. And right now, the Thunder are going to be hit right this year with a cap hit of over $38.5 million, a dead cap value of $30.5 million. And Sam Presti, who gets a lot of these first-round picks right now, he's accumulated 8 first-round picks since June 20 of the NBA draft. And they could retain its 2020 pick and top 20 projected to Philadelphia and their 2022 lottery pick to Atlanta. Good or bad move? You be the judge. This is On Deck with Charles Prodigy Richey, only on CSR. And welcome back here to On Deck on CSR here with me, Charles Prodigy Richey. Every 1 to 2 p.m. right now as we got beautiful sunny weather going on right now. People are down here experiencing the taste of Chicago right now. We got a lot of things happening right now. A lot of fun times, summer fun. Let the summer fun roll in. Oh, yeah. And speaking of which, now let's get back to one of the topics we were talking about earlier as I was going into the break. Right now, is we got the Chicago Cubs who are actually getting ready to start in just a matter of moments at this point in time. They're in the rubber match right now against the Pittsburgh Pirates right now, who they won the first game yesterday. But right now, there's been a lot of concerns going on with Chicago Cubs throughout. And a lot of it has been reported as far as like tension between still possibly with Joe Maddon and the front office brass and ownership. More in particular, when you take a look at President Theo Epstein, and of course, the owner of the Chicago Cubs, the Ricketts family, more in particular, Tom Ricketts at this point in time. It almost seems like, Theo Epstein, what Jonathan Hood was alluding to on his end of year press conference from a year ago, and you really think about it, and one of the things that they did get into was as far as they need to start like winning a little bit more better on series. They can't be settling for 1 out of 3. Or more so with the way he's been managing things. I mean, he's also alluded to the fact, though, too, that Chicago Blackhawks, like it or not, at the end of the day in Chicago, they're the ones who really had the most backing power as far as, like, doing stuff for, like, the city of Chicago as a whole, when you really think about it. And I could honestly understand that at that point in time. But I do feel like right now, when you look at things overall as a whole, I think you do have to put in perspective right now, Joe Maddon, who really has been feeling pressure little by little shortly after the way they almost blew the World Series from 3 years ago. I mean, you think of little things, just the way he's managing his bullpen, or maybe just taking some awkward risks. But, I mean, at the same time, too, I mean, you can't deny the fact that they've been into the playoffs, as a matter of fact, every year that he's been the skipper for this ball club. I mean, at the same time, when you look at the end of the day, I mean, Maddon has got these guys battle tested. He's definitely got everyone on board at the time. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of questions about them, like, putting in, like, as far as like what it goes when you were looking at trying to like go over the luxury tax. I mean, which you're pretty much a little bit over, as a matter of fact, right now at this point in time. We're going to be having a little money at this point. And you really start feeling at this point in time, what do they really need to do at this point? I mean, do you really look at and start thinking right now that the Cubs right now at this point, are they going to fold and not make the playoffs under Mann for the first time? And we'll see at this point. But right now they got a 1.5 game lead right now. I mean, when you look at the overall standings as of the moment right now, they got at this point in time a 1.5 game lead over the Milwaukee Brewers. And you got a little bit of cushion in between with the Cardinals trailing by 3. Pirates 3.5 games as a result of losing yesterday. They could still get back in this thing if they win the next 2 games. It'd probably be a 1.5 game out of the division. But let's not forget about Milwaukee Brewers right now, who are actually the defending NL Central champs at this point in time. So I think that's one thing to definitely consider. But you have to just be very cognizant of how you just finished down the stretch here. I mean, let's take a look at some examples right now when you look at overall what I'm alluding to when you think about this. I mean, right now, I mean, you look at things and you start to scratch your head and you just start to wonder at this point in time. I mean, here's the bottom line with Chicago Cubs right now. They're 16-16 in the NL Central at this point in time. Interleague play 8-7. And they're 4-4 against the Pittsburgh Pirates. I mean, which has been a blessing right now that they're doing. But the thing is, too, there's been a lot of concern, too, the way Pittsburgh Pirates have been pitching up and in a lot lately as we look at things. And right now, I mean, the thing is they're pitching a lot up and in, close to the head. And even right now, as a matter of fact, yesterday when we looked at it, Anthony Rizzo, who's talking to Cubs reporter Kelly Kroll, and the thing was with that, this is Anthony Rizzo, he's saying on the Pirates throwing up and in. I mean, it's a great theory. Throw at Javi's head 3 times and then throw a slider down the way you're going to get him out. It's scary. And until Major League Baseball does something about it, it's good formula to get guys out. And we were talking about this last week with me and Paulie C, as a matter of fact, as we looked at it. And the thing is, right now, do you feel like the league needs to get involved at this point in time, start issuing warnings? I was going on record saying that if you're going to do stuff, you need to do a little bit of history on the teams that who are going head-to-head, of course. And then also make sure you communicate with the umpiring crew and communicate to both skippers, whoever's involved in this. And you have to just be fair. I mean, you don't want to start like necessarily accusing someone of intentionally doing something when that's not the case. I just feel right now with Chicago Cubs, I mean, it's probably like a genius move, you could say right now, by the Pirates. But when it starts becoming like a little bit dirty, it almost kind of reminds me of like when the Steelers back in the 70s were going up against the Raiders when they were trying to win 3 straight Super Bowls. It was almost like Chuck Noll was calling the Oakland Raiders at that point in time like criminals. Some of the stuff where they were leveling shots at the Steelers. But John Maddon was just saying, hey, it's part of football. And I guess that's probably like the thought process right here when you look at skipper of the Pirates, Clinton Hurdle, thinking, you know what, it's like it's got to be fair game. I mean, this is our aggressive style, like it or not. I mean, it's like we're going to do what we got to do to play intense baseball. And look at it as a result of it. Look how close they climbed in at this point in time. I'm not necessarily condoning it, but I mean, at the same time, too, the Pittsburgh Pirates, this is also a team who's never won the NL Central in the history of their franchise. Their last division title, which, by the way, came when it was back as the NL East back in 1992 when you had Barry Bonds. So, again, the number, if you want, feel free to call in on this debate, is 312-209-2232. Again, that number to be reached is 312-209-2232. Also, let's get into another topic here while we're looking at the Chicago Cubs. Starting pitcher Yu Darvish at this point in time. I mean, a guy who signed a 6-year, $126 million contract with the team and who's getting an annual average salary of $21 million. This year, he's earning a base salary of over $20 million. And then you basically got $22 million the next year, 19 and 18 the following years, pretty much fully guaranteed. I mean, when you look at his contract, should the Chicago Cubs right now at this point in time, right now for a guy who's not won a game at Wrigley Field, listen, he's still a decent pitcher. He has been improving. I mean, he's given up no earned runs yesterday. And you look at the background stats, I mean, the last few games overall with him, and this was coming from Chris O'Neill. Right now, he can be followed at CJ O'Neill 88, and he was saying right now as Cubs contributor that he has an ERA right now in his last 8 starts of 3.94, whipped hitters innings pitched 0.92, strikeouts to 9 innings 9.75, strikeout to walk 4.33, versus Jake Arrieta's last 8 starts 5.87 ERA. Whipped hitters inning pitch, 1.59. Strikeouts per 9 innings, 6.65. And strikeout to walk ratio, 2.27. We'll get into this a little bit more, but first, before we get any further, we got to take this bottom of the hour scoreboard update with me, Charles, the Prodigy Richey. Listen to On Deck, only on CSR. At 1:30 p.m., I'm Charles Richey with your ChicagolandSportsRadio.com update. Brought to you by the Illinois Media School. For more information on a career in broadcasting, make sure to go to beonair.com. Well, as we take a look at things coming up right now, as we look specifically in the NFL right now, Executive Director Demore Smith seems to be shooing the idea that players be on board with an 18-game schedule, and where it's being required that the players play 16 games, but they have to sit out at least 2 games, all the starters, where they would not be able to play. Good or bad idea? We'll find out on that. Plus, as we take a look at some other news going around in the NFL, as a matter of fact, as we take a look, as reported by Ian Rappaport right now at this point in time, Jim Caldwell, who's right now basically with the Miami Dolphins, he'll still be involved, but his losses on a daily basis. Dolphins assistant head coach and quarterback coach Jim Caldwell will take a leave of absence to address health issues, the team says. He'll serve as a consultant to the team for the 2019 season. Also, too, as we take a look at things from Ian Rappaport, the NFL has suspended Raiders guard Richey Incognito 2 games for violating the personal conduct policy. General manager Mike Mayock was aware of the likely discipline for a pair of incidents last year before assigning Incognito to a 1-year deal, and has said they'll help him help himself. Also, as we swing things over to Major League Baseball right now, Chicago Cubs, who just got underway against the Pittsburgh Pirates in the rubber matchup right now, they're looking to win this series today, as a matter of fact. Right now is the bottom of the first with no score. Pirates get a hit so far. Is right now Javi Baez, who's batting right now with a man on first. Then you got Chicago White Sox, who'll be taking on the Oakland Athletics. That game's at 3:07 p.m. And then right now, other scores right now, you got the Tampa Bay Rays on top of the Baltimore Orioles in Baltimore, 1-0. This update has been brought to you by the Chicago Dogs Baseball. Next home game broadcast will be July 9th against the Gary South Shore Railcats at 11:35 a.m. For tickets, visit ChicagoDogs.com. I'm Charles Richey. You're listening to Chicagoland Sports Radio. It's not just sports, it's a way of life. And welcome back to CSR's On Deck right now with me, Charles Prodigy Richey's. We got a lot of things to get into, like I said. Right now, as a matter of fact, we look at things. And right now, I was posing the question right now, should the Chicago Cubs consider trading a guy like Yu Darvish? I know he's been picking up a little bit of confidence so far, but again, the part that bothers me is that he has not won a game in Wrigley Field since being acquired, signed a $6 million contract with joining the club. And it just almost just seems like I'm not so sure if he's like taking to the environment and the crowd that he's associated with. I mean, wearing that uniform. I think that's be a very interesting move right now. I mean, do you consider that? I mean, I know Jake Arrieta right now, who's actually pretty much hurt right now at this point in time, but I gotta argue right now, Darvish has really hardly done anything except on the road. So I'm not sure if you want to be patient with him for another 4 more years at this point in time if they decide to keep him for the rest of the season. So what we'll find. Feel free to tweet me your thoughts or let me know because they should consider trading him, dealing him at the trade deadline. You'll find out. We're getting ready to hit this break. Coming up later on today, we'll have the D-Stone live show from 4 or 5 p.m. That's every Saturday to close out the CSR All-Star Live shows here. Listen on deck, only on CSR. Captain America might want to pull a little basketball here. And welcome back to CSR's On Deck here with me, Charles Prodigy Richey. As you catch me every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. Again, the number, if you want, feel free to dial in on studio. It is 312-209-2232. Again, that number to dial up is 312-209-2232. You can also catch me streaming live on Facebook, on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com, and, of course, on YouTube, Charles J. Richey. No Instagram stream for today, but if you want to on these Saturdays, it's Prodigy Richey. And then you can also catch me Mondays and Wednesdays during and after the season on the Men of Steel podcast covering the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, usually. All right, now let's get back into it. I want to get back into this final article right now, as a matter of fact, and we took a look at it. And this was reported on Thursday. This was being reported by Sean Wagner McGuff on CBS Sports. He was saying right now that on Thursday, according to Andrew Beaton of the Wall Street Journal, which is an in-depth story on the issue about expanding the regular season from 16 to 18 games, which the NFL owners have been trying to get negotiations with the NFL Players Union. Both sides remain pretty optimistic that they'll be able to get a deal done for a new CBA before the 2020 season and not have a strike. But one of the things right now that they're looking at, according to Beaton, he was saying that the owners propose having an 18-game schedule with a 16-game limit for all players. Basically, so what that means when you look at it at that point in time, you'll have to at least have like your backup players be playing at least mandatory 2 games. So you're going to probably be seeing times where you're probably not seeing like a Ben Roethlisberger, a Tom Brady, or even at that point in time, maybe like Khalil Mack. I mean, there's one guy to name, or like maybe like a Le'Veon Bell not play on Sundays. More than likely a reality. And they're saying that it would be one thing. He was saying on one hand, teams with better overall depth would be rewarded. But on the other hand, who wants to really watch a guy like Blake Bortles or Nathan Peterman or Blaine Gabbert play more football than they have to? And right now, I mean, according to Demarius Smith right now on the issue, who was taking a look at it, this was also reported by Tim Daniels of Bleacher Report, which, by the way, Tim Daniels, he'd be followed at Tim Daniels BR. And he was saying right now for this that it's not in best interest of our players. If somebody wants to make an 18-game proposal, we'll look at it. I haven't seen anything that makes me think that it would be good for the players. And I can definitely understand that. I mean, for right now, I mean, what's been usually the talk at this point in time? It always seems like it's been an annoying eyesore with the preseason games. Hardly anybody's watching. I'm sure the numbers got to be down pretty good at this point in time. I mean, when you look at it. But I think it's fair to say, too, I mean, it's like you're still asking these guys to grind out 16 games. So I'm not too sure how much I'm really seeing this is going to be like beneficial for the players overall in the long run. As far as like health wise, you're still mandating 16 games, still pretty much a full-time schedule, but at the same time too, you're also asking like your bench guys involved. I mean, which doesn't sound like so much of a bad idea, but I mean, what are you really doing? It just almost seems like it's just we need to continue to generate more ratings. And like I said, one of the other ideas about was pitched too by Mike Florio too. You can check him out on NBC Sports when you look at him. And when you look at him, who does his show at that point in time, who Pro Football Talk, which is on NBCS, NBC Sports Network, he was reporting that one of the ideas for this too that they also want to consider is having the NFL season end on President's Day, where it's a 3-day weekend. I mean, which is almost kind of considered like a holiday usually, and you're looking at that, and when you really think about things, I mean, if that were the case, let's just say if that does get approved and you look at it for that point in time, we are basically looking for like the Super Bowl to be ending on Sunday, February 14th on Valentine's Day, or maybe you might have a Saturday Super Bowl. I mean, one of the ideas that's been proposed, I mean, a lot of people are going to probably be hungover or restless. Why go back to work like right after the Super Bowl? You have that Sunday to relax, and you have a little bit more time to enjoy the championship if your team happens to be the winners of that. And I think that sounds decent, but the only thing is with that, I mean, where are you really truly going with this here? I really start to like question, I mean, like, what are you really showing about the players you really care? And is this going to be another thing where the players get suckered in to a deal? I mean, last thing they want to do is right now is feel like they're being had again. And that's been like a issue right there. And I really feel like right now, at that point in time, it's just, I mean, what do you really think about it? It's just more like, why just continue to get more bang for your buck, but you're not really considering like what these guys have to put out on a day basis. Again, or week-to-week basis, I should say. Again, the number to dial in is 312-209-2232. Again, that number would be reaches 312-209-2232. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Prodigy Richey. as well as catch me streaming live on YouTube right now, Charles J. Richey. And I just tend to question like some of the moves, I guess, at times. I mean, when you really think about it. I mean, right now, I mean, who's really on board with this? I think it'll definitely be a lot of things that just be interesting right now when you really think about who's gonna be those guys that are gonna be volunteering to want like put all on the line and do that grind overall. And I think that's one thing you have to really look at. So we'll see. I think it's a decent idea for right now. I mean, yeah, I still like see 18 games as a fan, but more so as a players too. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's just a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm be liking the idea. Like, say if it was my Steelers right there, and let's just say you have the rest like one of your team, your players right now at this point in time, and let's just say we have a scenario where we look at it, and let's just say, oh, I don't know, like week 15. The Pittsburgh Steelers at that point in time, they got to host the Buffalo Bills, but then you also got like say like the defending champion Baltimore Ravens taking on the New York Jets. Do you happen to watch out what your divisional opponent does when they're resting their guys, or the Cleveland Browns too, being on the road against the Arizona Cardinals? I mean, those are things you have to factor in right there, or the Bengals against the Patriots. I mean, it depends where you're at in the standings. I think that could definitely be something that could be open up for debate. I mean, if you ask me, I just feel you gotta be a little more careful with that, but be cognizant. Like I said, there are rewards and penalties with these choices right here. And I'm not sure if pulling him like back into the meat grinder is going to necessarily solve the issue, but we'll find right now as we take a look at things. And right now, as we got right now, right here, get ready to finish the close out in the final 5 minutes here. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. But like I said, let's also get into some other news we look at, like countdown to the NFL season too. I was like listening on NFL Network, and they're talking about favorite Bears memories right now, speaking of which. And right now, Richard Dent right now, who was talking with one of the guys on NFL Network at that point in time, he was definitely feeling that the Chicago Bears right now, the defense right now, kind of reminds them of like their 85 defense, where, I mean, you got a lot of young guys, a lot of intensity, a lot of confidence, a lot of moxie. Like I said, I mean, of course, they're going to be hit with the tagline is, what are you going to do with the kicker? I mean, which is one thing to still be determined at this point in time. So I'm with it on that. But, well, what do you really think on that? I just feel that their defense is going to be fine. But definitely the obvious concerns with a guy like Mitch Trubisky is like how you're going to run the offense around him and not necessarily through him. I think that's where you just got to be a little bit careful. You want to be like the game manager when you look at it. And of course, you just want to just be careful at this point in time. And I get all that. But, I mean, it's definitely a thing for debate when you really look at it. I mean, how much is going to be dependent upon him? Is he going to be eventually the weak link on this thing when we look at it? And we'll find out at this point. But, I mean, we'll find out how things continue to shape up on this. I mean, we'll see. And we'll find out. But definitely a lot of things, a lot of excitement in the air. As right now we look at it. I mean, you got the Chicago Bears training camp opening up. I mean, pretty much soon. I want to say in less than 2 weeks, as a matter of point, when we look at. Let's find out the dates real quick here. And their training camp schedule. as we look at it, it's going to be the Bears will be in the front of their fans for the first time on Saturday, July 27th. And I think that's going to be an interesting thing at that point in time. So let's see. Let's keep the comments and concerns come flowing here. Got a lot of stuff to get into. Real quick to wrap up. Definitely want to just pay a little special shout out to my man Sean Lennon. Nice enough to broadcast alongside him during the UFC 239 pay-per-view. That was definitely a lot of fun right there. Just want to thank very much Sean on that for having me join in. It was a pleasure to be around Mr. Shoney Carter on that too when we looked at it. And yeah, I mean, it was just definitely right now when you think about it, what do you look at? I mean, at this point. So again, we're getting ready to wrap up here. Hopefully next week I'll be able to have a guest here on my show. We'll be talking some more baseball as we get a little bit closer to the trade deadline, as is July 13th right now. We're about a little over 2.5 weeks away. And again, if you ever want, feel free to call in on the show. The number to be reached right now is 312-209-2232. Again, that number to be reached is 312-209-2232. As I always leave you, don't be trolling, be rolling. You can follow me on Twitter at Prodigy Richey. Again, don't be trolling, be rolling. I gone.